در پہ در سے لپٹے بازو بندھے یہیں پر پہلے پہر حرم کے اس سرزمین سے نکلے سجاد سر جھکائے اے چاند شہزادائے جناحی مالک ہے کربلا کا کس کی مجال آئے جب تک نہ وہ بلائے پہنچے ہیں کربلا میں جو لوگ سبط جعفر مقدر ان کو یہ دن دکھائے اے چاند کربلا کے تو نے تو دیکھے ہوں گے اترے تھے اس زمین پر عرش بری کے تارے اے چاند کربلا کے اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد.
خوشنودی امام زمانہ بلندر صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد.
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم الحمد للہ رب العالمین والصلاة والسلام علی اشرف الانبیاء والمرسلین خاتم النبیین بالقاسم محمد صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذي يذهب الله عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا.
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي أفوض أمري إلى الله بصير بالعباد. صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد.
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ.
وعلیکم السلام.
So yesterday, on our topic, self-care, ego, and mindfulness, I think this is my own feeling. I felt like yesterday got a bit overwhelming. There was a lot going on because I go back and I hear my talk. So I hope that there was clarity in the things that I explained. However, generally speaking, concepts of ego, self, understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are not anything that we can ever do justice to. Ego is a complicated entity, and so are we, especially women, as they say. So we have to be mindful that जो भी चीज़ें मैं आप लोगों को बताती हूँ, whatever I discuss here, try to go and do your own research. A lot of times it's enough कि आप लोगों को keywords मिल जाएं, and that you can use the keywords to search on Google, read about it, find authors who are talking about it. I find it very interesting when I do my research how one thing leads to another, and I'm very excited to share something today as well. I was just reading this morning, and I was very thrilled how Allah Ta'ala helps us when we go in the search of knowledge. So overall, I feel that a lot of concepts were discussed yesterday. We talked about ego, we talked about sin, we talked about Imam Ali alayhi salam, we talked about death, we talked about the self. So there was a lot rolling into one topic, and I apologize if there was too much to grasp, or it was going too fast or dry or whatever. I am a flawed human being, and may Allah accept these efforts. एक तो दुख पढ़ लें.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Yeah, sure. तो आज हमारा जो डिस्कशन था, मैंने कल कहा था कि we will be talking about अमले साले, good deeds. Sorry, I didn't say that. I said we will be talking about self-care and self-care activities. कुरान में अल्लाह ताला जब self-care की बात करते हैं, तो हम उसको किस तरह से देखेंगे? कौन से अल्फाज हैं कुरान में जो self-care की बात करते हैं? Because हम समझते हैं कि हमने कहा कि वेस्टर्न आइडिया ऑफ सेल्फ केयर इज ऑलवेज अबाउट कि पीपल हैव बिकम सो सेल्फ सेंटर्ड, हर चीज़ में अपनी बात कर रहे होते हैं और अपना सोच रहे होते हैं और सेल्फिश हो गए हैं और मटीरियलिस्टिक हो गए हैं लोग. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, लेट अस टेक अ डीप ब्रेथ एंड पॉज एंड try to understand that all human beings are really struggling. Because like I said, this place is a place of struggle. So everyone is in a place of struggle, whether they look it or they don't. Whether they put a persona that everything is going easy and simple for them or not, things are really difficult for each one of us. And that is why faith intervenes to make things easy for us, because on our own we cannot handle all of the stresses that come. So let us look and try to look at the world with some empathy, kindness, softness. That everyone around us, whether they talk about materialism, whether they are into addictions, whether they are into materialism, they are all hurting somewhere. कहीं भी अगर कोई indulgence में चला जाता है ना, self indulgence हो, religious indulgence हो, extremism हो, fundamentalism हो, कोई भी चीज़ जहाँ पे आपको एक डिसबैलेंस नजर आए, तो आपको ये समझ आ जाएगा कि ये बंदा स्ट्रगल कर रहा है. They're trying to cope with life. So some people will take something as their safe haven, and others will take other things as their safe havens. And this is how we are as human beings. Once we get engrossed in one thing, थोड़े टाइम के लिए हम बड़े obsessed हो जाते हैं. Because उसको एक चस्का लगा होता है. We take the taste of something new which is giving us peace, and then we want more and more and more. And so it's a tendency, it's a human tendency. So let us not judge anyone, whether they're fundamentalists, whether they are rude, whether they are, whatever it is. Every human being is struggling. क्योंकि एक ज़माना था जब मैं खुद भी बहुत फंडामेंटलिस्ट किस्म की हो गई थी, in the sense कि I was studying in a madrasa, then I had a lot of intense training in religious studies. So I was the one going around and telling everyone कि कपड़े ऐसे पहने हैं और मोज़े पहने हैं और मर्दों से बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. I was like that. Because religion gives you a sense of peace, so you get overindulgent in it in the beginning. And then it's a journey, it's a process of sieving out and coming to a place of balance. इसलिए एक स्टोरी है बहलूले दाना की कि वो कहीं से कोई गुजर रहा था तो उन्होंने देखा कि बहलूले दाना is holding up a trunk of a tree from one side, then he puts it down, then he goes to the other side, puts it up, then he puts it down, and he keeps doing that again and again. So the person asks, what are you doing? He said, it's easy to pick it up from this side, it's easy to pick it up from the other side. It's very difficult to hold it from the center and keep the balance. That is what Sirat-e-Mustaqim is. And that is what Buddha said. The essence of Buddha's teaching was find the moderate path, the central path. And that is what the Quran says, that you are Ummatul Wusta, in the center, moderate path, not extremes. So the journey is fluctuating between two extremes and trying to balance the center, and we are all struggling with that. We are all trying to balance. Why? Because we are made of that. We are clay and we are breath. We are dense and we are light. We are luminosity and we are darkness. So it's a constant battle of balancing, and that is why we have to be very empathetic and very kind to everyone. Because going through all these different stages and phases of my own journey, I have experienced judgments. I have, because when you leave a certain phase of your life, then you want to blame someone, there is anger, you feel like you were treated unjustly, so then you find people and places to put your anger, and then that's displaced anger, obviously. And slowly, if we are sincere in our heart and if we have the right intention to search for truth, then inshallah Allah Ta'ala will guide us all.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
So let's not judge anything, whether it's self-care or any of these people who are trying to teach us things. Let us learn from everyone. And today I want to share something that I learned from my teacher, and it was life-changing for me. When I was in a Quran class and she said that Amale Saleh are the good deeds that help you retain, balance your goodness. We're in a good mood, someone comes, pokes our trigger point, suddenly we get flared up, right? That means we lost our goodness of character in that moment. We were not able to hold on to that balance. Especially people who practice meditation, they always say that, I meditated for 1 hour in the morning and I woke up early and I did this and I did that, and in 1 second I lost my zen. Something triggered me and gone. And then you feel guilty and you feel bad and you feel like, what a waste. I'm such a bad person, why can't I have control over myself? See, each one of us is struggling moment to moment. And the gist of what I was saying earlier is that everyone is good at heart. Because everyone has breath of God and God is good. There is a very wise saying which says, look at people and treat people in a way as if they are already behaving the way they are capable of behaving. The goodness that they are capable of manifesting, treat them now as if they are already doing it, as if they are already good. That is how we can help each other activate each other's godliness and goodness. see the good in the person instead of focusing on their bad qualities. Whether it's a cook in our homes, whether it's our help at home, understand they are also human. You know, this is what I try to practice when a cook comes into my house. I feel like there was a time when I really enjoy cooking. It's such a creative act, and now everybody has their smartphones, right? So I let my cook discover new recipes and try new things. It's an art for her. She finds joy in it, right? She feels happy when she's in the kitchen. She feels excited when she creates something new. And I try, I'm a human, I try that when things go wrong, I try not to say anything. But when she makes something good, then I really try to praise her. And our children are watching this, right? They're also watching what we're doing. When we say, next day you'll see your child will come and sit at the table and say, Appa, iske andar ye sahi nahi, iske nahi, main nahi kha raha tha. Right? Children take after us, and sometimes you think, इतने नखरे कहाँ से आ रहे बच्चों में? Why are they being so picky? And we don't know that we were the ones who were doing it the day before. And then we have all the justifications to justify what we are doing as the right thing, but when the child is doing it wrong. And I'm very sure that if my kids are watching this, they'll be so happy that I'm saying all these things, taking responsibility. So what happens then? When they are happy and they're coming and doing the work with joy and they're creating this piece of art with excitement, then you are taking and absorbing their energy from the food. So what goes around comes around, right? What you give is what you get. The energy of anger you will give, the energy of criticism you will get, it will come back to you. You're going to be absorbing it into your system, and you are what you eat, they say, right? So these are little acts of goodness which are very subtle, very lateef, but that is what Allah Ta'ala is trying to teach us, because the beauty of a good godly character is in the little things. How? You know, when we learn traditional art, the miniature art, Indian miniature art or Persian miniature art, the paintings are very small. And they're not large paintings, but they're very expensive. And I learned that art. And it takes months to finish one tiny piece because the technique which is used with the brush, sometimes the brushes we have to use are -10. Like it's not just 1, 2, 3, it's like -10. It's such a fine brush. You have to sometimes put the painting under a magnifying glass and then just go with one stroke at a time. And it takes months to create that piece. So it's a very beautiful and very fine piece of work because the craftsmanship, the effort, the attention that goes into it is very fine. It's up to the tiniest detail, and that's what makes a piece so fine. We also have to work on ourselves as a masterpiece. So we have to find the little things that we can tweak to make it a fine piece of art. And those who know that art is copied all the time. The right eye can tell which is a copy and which is not. And the right eye can catch when the work is not as fine. And Allah says in the Quran that I notice even the slight movement of your eye. And I know what is in your heart. So we want to create a beautiful masterpiece instead of just saying this is okay, काम चल जाएगा, बस जन्नत में जाना है, I just want to enter heaven. No, when we are talking about the Aimai Tahirin, when we talk about the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then we say that we want to be with him and with them in Jannah, that they weren't just sufficing with the really mediocre. They're the finest of the finest. So we see little acts that the Prophet did in his life that are so amazing. If you just sit and reflect, right? We've mentioned them, so I'm not going back into it again. So yesterday I was asked a question after yesterday's talk to shed some light on intercession. My topic was self-care, and when I talk about self-care, I talk about taking care of the self so that the goodness of myself can be retained. It can be preserved. Because myself, my true self is good, it is the godly particle, it is goodness. So if I want to preserve my goodness and if I want to preserve my good character, then I need to take care of it. And to take care of my goodness, I have to do good deeds. So my teacher told me that good deeds that we do, amale saleh, they are acts of self-care. And if you talk to the youth or the children, you're like, yes, amale saleh, they're like, yeah, namaz, roza. But sometimes we're not at that point where namaz and roza is our acts of self-care. It doesn't preserve our goodness. Instead, a lot of us in our rozas, we are the worst selves because everything is being triggered and coming out and we're hungry. One of the reasons why roza helps to purify us is because when the stomach is empty, you will realize that a lot of times when something is irritating, frustrating or bothering us, we go and eat something. A lot of us do that, right? We'll go, we'll eat something, we'll stuff ourselves, something like that, right? So we feed ourselves. What does that do? It suppresses that irritation for a while because the pleasure of eating takes over. So what happens is that irritation, like I said, was a gift of God. It was a message to us. It came to us saying, hey Fatimah, you gotta work on this. Who likes self-criticism? Nobody likes it. So I'm like, you know what? I don't have time for it right now. I don't want to deal with this right now. I just want to have a good time right now. So I'm just gonna go and eat something, or watch something, or binge watch, or something. You feed yourself something to suppress that irritation or frustration. And what happens when you're fasting? Now you can't do anything about that irritation. So now you're forced to look into what is irritating. Now you're forced, you don't have anything to do. You're just sitting there, burning away, feeling frustrated, feeling irritated. And what did we say in the spiritual journey? There's no blaming. So I repeat this story more for myself a lot of times, is that if you're holding a cup of tea and somebody comes and pokes you and the tea falls out, and if I ask you why did the tea spill out, what would be the answer? Because somebody poked. Somebody poked, so tea fell. No, tea fell because there was tea inside it. Okay? Tea fell because there was tea inside it. In our lives, when things poke us and irritate us, and if anger comes out, frustration comes out, irritation comes out, is because in your cup there was anger. That is why we see that Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. We hear in history that in his physical demeanor he was a little dark and heavy. Now I don't know how true that is, but this is how the hadith goes. And his mother used to cook food. She was a chef. So people in Arabia used to come and make fun of him. They used to come and say, oh, your mother is dark, so you're dark, and this colonial obsession with fairness is something we have to get over. So they used to make fun of him and his mother and say, oh, you're not much because, your mother cooks and it's not a very big thing. Like, she's not like some sheikha, whatever. Something like that. And then they would go into all these enhancing of bad qualities. You're like this and you're like that and you're not good. And we hear the same thing from Imam Zainal Abidin that when somebody would come and say bad things to him, this is how the Imams used to reply. When people would come and poke them and trigger them, how did they reply? They would say, thank you for telling me. If you are right, may Allah right my wrongs. If you are right, may Allah right my wrongs. If this is my flaw, if it is actually a true flaw in me, may Allah correct it. But if you are lying, then may Allah forgive you. Right? So there's no defending yourself, there's no insecurity, there's this groundedness, there's this calm, there's this inner composure that we see in their character. So when somebody pokes you, what comes out is what you have filled in, or what you have allowed to be filled into you. So now it is your duty to start working on yourself कि मुझे गुस्सा क्यों आया. लोग तो अपनी मर्जी से हर चीज करेंगे. People will do anything and everything. They'll say anything and everything. You can't put tapes on their mouths, and you can't go around controlling people's characters and telling them how to do and what to do. Don't do this because मुझे बुरा लगा. Don't do that because I don't like it. We cannot control. When people are close to us, we can indicate to them, and then we have to be patient. It is up to them whether they hear it or not. So it is very important to understand over here that the work is on the self, and that is why we have to care for the self ourselves. We are responsible. If a little baby has a very exciting, very busy day, you will notice that when the baby comes to the end of the day, they start getting very cranky, unreasonable, illogical, and they'll just say things which don't make any sense. And now it's time for your bed. I'll just take you and put you to bed. We are also the same. We also go through the same process. The only difference is that now we have to parent ourselves. Now we have to be mindful of ourselves. So if you're tired and you need a nap, go and take a nap. If you need to sleep, go and go to sleep. That is why Imam Khomeini in his book Adab al-Salat says that don't come and pray when you have no concentration and no energy. First, take care of yourself. Come into the right state to make worship, to do worship. That is why Quran is saying don't come to prayers in a state of intoxication. Right? Intoxication किसी भी चीज़ की हो सकती है. On a deeper level, sometimes they are obsessed with an idea. People who have creative minds, like if they're designing something, the ideas just don't leave their mind. Settle yourself down. Breathe a little, do something to take your mind off it, then go into prayer. So you can find that stillness, you can find that calm in your self, so that the prayer brings that fruit that we need to come out of it. So we have to be what? Mindful. This is our topic, right? Self-care, ego and mindfulness. When we are mindful, we can take care of ourselves. If we are not mindful, then we cannot take care of ourselves. And Will Smith, he has done some interesting, conversations about marriage. And he talks about a difficult patch in his marriage with his wife Jada, I think that's his wife's name. And he says that there was a time when, I was reading all kinds of self-help books and trying to figure out and therapy and counseling and whatnot. And the wisdom of having a good marriage is that you take care of your happiness, you take care of yourself, and your spouse takes care of their happiness, and your spouse takes care of their self, and then you come together to celebrate each other in each individual's happiness. A lot of times, we don't know what makes us happy. We expect that the other person will do the whole investigation and then they will make us happy. Right? And a lot of times we will say say, I don't have a choice, but my husband demands this, so I have to do it. A lot of women, especially in the subcontinent, have this, you know, आप क्या कर सकते हैं, वो है ही ऐसा, you know. But the feminine quality within us is of a lot of intuition, wisdom, and nourishment. We are like the healers for our family. If we can be in our power, then we can empower others to find themselves. और वो हमारे बहुत आम कहते हैं ना, खरबूजा खरबूजे से रंग पकड़ता है. If we start searching for ourselves, if we start taking care of ourselves, if we start staying happy, you will see that everyone catches on in your family, because the feminine energy is very beautiful and very powerful. We can tap into our intuitive wisdom. Don't get caught up into this masculine world of logic and structure. Everything has to have a formula, and a lot of times women are not able to articulate their wisdom because women are not structured. That is not who we are at core. Our power is not in being structured, limited to language. A lot of times we'll say, "बस दिल नहीं मान रहा है इसलिए नहीं करना है," right? So people think, "Oh, ये ऐसी सारी बातें करने शुरू हो गई हैं अम्मी," right? But we have forgotten that the feminine wisdom is intuitive. It's from the heart. We're emotional beings. And for a while now, that has been underestimated. When the world became industrialized and things became overly structured and jobs became 9 to 5, instead आप देखिए पुराने ज़माने के अगर आप मेमोइर्स पढ़ें लोगों के, उनके रूटीन्स देखें, तो वो सुबह जल्दी उठते थे, काम पे जाते थे, फिर दोपहर में सो जाते थे, फिर वापस से अपना रूटीन स्टार्ट करते थे, जल्दी सो जाते थे. You know, there was this respect for the human rhythm. जब थकन हो रही है तब रेस्ट ले रहे हैं, मशीन की तरह काम नहीं कर रहे थे. All of this has come from something that I had intended to talk about. All of this has come from, yes, the female has been suppressed. We have experienced a lot of oppression. We have been trafficked. We have been enslaved. We have been used and abused. It is in our history. We have that ancestral trauma. But then we got confused somewhere. When we started reclaiming our femininity, we came from a very masculine energy. Reclaiming femininity from a masculine energy doesn't work for us. क्या मतलब है कि if the woman says I want to work and I want equal wages and all of that, again the woman is falling in the trap of following a very structured masculine way of life. We have so many cycles in a month. We have like 4 different phases in our ovulation. The hormones affect us. The hormones make us down and then we give this high. I was reading somewhere, someone had demarcated that in which phase of your cycle should you work on coming up with new ideas, in which phase you should execute it, and in which phase you should let it be. Why? Because in a year there is a cycle to the seasons also. Nature hibernates for a while, lets it go, it rests, and then it comes back, right? In full flow it comes back. So for us, have we really thought about a female model of work? We thought about how we function at our best. If we are going to take this soft thing and we want to fit it into a machine where there are these structured cog wheels, it's not going to work. A woman is soft. A man needs a hard exterior because they have to be doing certain things. they have to put their foot down. Somebody says you want to bargain, they put their foot down, they say no, I'm not going to do it. It's a zaruri hai, bhai mere ye prophets and they have to do it. So in a lot of things, a man is required to have that hard exterior. A woman is supposed to infuse that very business with, intuitive guidance, wisdom, some flexibility. And when the feminine and the masculine qualities come together, yes, then the business runs really well. When they say that, behind a successful man is a woman, it's because nothing can be truly complete without the two things coming together. Because they're the two sides. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qualities are also Jalali and Jamali, masculine and feminine. He also has to maintain a discipline, but he also has that softness. He has these two sides. So everything and everyone has to manifest those qualities of Allah. So we are not saying that we were not oppressed and we were not taken advantage of. We were. But we want to come back with our authenticity. Not putting up a promise or a facade which is not true to us. What do we truly feel like being? That is what we have to explore, understand, discover, and then manifest it into the world. In my healing work, where I do one-on-one sessions, I come across a lot of women with problems with their uterus. The uterus is not supposed to be removed, but it's become a very normal thing that after a certain age it has to be removed. Why is it happening like that? Because the uterus is your special organ in your body which makes you feminine, which demarcates you as a female. When the feminine soul is deprived and suppressed, when the femininity is not embraced, when you don't take your power as a woman with complete confidence and you're feeling embarrassed, or you feel like you have to walk on eggshells, or because you'll be made fun of, and you can't be truly yourself as a woman, which they say it's a man's world. In a man's world, when the woman is not truly herself, then the physical manifestation is that her uterus is going to be affected. When she says, I don't have a choice. When she says, I can't be truly myself. So when the Jamal is suppressed, when the feminine is suppressed, then the feminine manifestation is going to get affected. It's going to start showing up in your physical body. So taking care of the self then is very connected. The soul and the body is just one. It is just a manifestation. Now when we study homeopathy, they give you levels of healing. And if you've been to a homeopathic doctor, I don't know if you've come across someone who's giving you academic background, but if you read about it, you'll understand that they'll say, okay, if you have a skin problem, either I can just give you a remedy that will just, take care of your skin for a little while. Or you want to go to the cause of the healing, cause of the problem, cause of the rash. And they say that the levels of healing are from the skin to the organs, to the muscles, to the bones, and then on a deeper level, it's psychological. Because the mind is where everything is being monitored and controlled. So now the healing process starts all the way in your psyche and in your subconscious mind. That's where taking care of the self means first recognizing what am I made of. I have a soul, I have a subconscious mind, I have a conscious mind, and I have a body. Then I have parts in my body which are different from a man. How is a man supposed to take care of himself? When men go into toxic masculinity, it starts to affect their prostrates. Why is it so rampant to see prostrate and uterus problems? Because there's a disbalance in the femininity and the masculinity and the way we are manifesting ourselves. So, in order to take care of ourselves, then we have to come back to ourselves and understand our nature, our truth. What am I made of? What am I made for? What is my purpose? What are my faculties? I said that like phone has all these multifunctions. We have so many functions. Discover your functionalities and then start using them in the right way.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
So in order to maintain your goodness, in order to take care of yourself so that you stay in a state of goodness, you have to preserve your goodness. You have to preserve what is good which Allah has given to you. You have to take care of it. And when we talk about taking care of ourselves, you will find many places in the Quran where Amal-e-Saleh is used. And Amal-e-Saleh comes from the word Salaha. So Saleh comes from the root word Salaha. Salaha is also Sulah. Sulah is what? Making peace between two. When do you have to make peace? When there is a conflict. So coming into a place of balance, coming into a place of peace, coming into a place of rest is coming into a place of goodness. So where does goodness lie? Goodness again lies in the moderation, the balance, so that two parts can stay together with peace. Now, in order to convince ourselves that I have to take care of myself, I have to take care of my goodness, I have to preserve my goodness, there are certain reasons which are just my observations that I have extrapolated, and I may be repeating myself because in previous lectures I have alluded to them, and today I'm just enumerating them. Okay? So if I have to take care of myself, why do I have to take care of myself? Number one, I have to give myself a home. What does that mean? The self, the ocean which is my home, I have to recognize that that lies within me. It is not outside of me. No person, no place, no home, no domicile, nothing is your home, true home. Your true home lies within you. When we don't recognize the home within us, then we start looking for home in other people. We start looking for home in different countries, different places, different jobs, different things. And I had mentioned this, that when is a home like home? A home is a place where you can feel at home. I use these words because it takes you to a state of mind. When do you feel at home? Then you can be yourself. When can you be yourself? When you are accepted for your dark and your light. So can you accept yourself with your darknesses and your light? As a woman, if somebody cannot cook good food, can you stop blaming yourself for it? Just because it's a trend that women will cook well. I mean, one of the top chefs are men. But so, can we let go of this judgment towards the self, constantly criticizing ourselves, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this? Because you know what? When the self will become overly critical, you don't want to come back to this self. Because it will constantly remind you of your pain points. You don't want to be in pain all the time. It's a very natural thing. It's human nature. We don't want to be in pain all the time. So we're going to run away. Then we will not come back to ourselves. We will not know who we are, what I want, what I like. Do I need to rest? Do I not need to rest? I will overly indulge myself in my work, in my children, in my kitchen, in my parents, in my meditation, in my religion. In something when there will be an obsession, it means your home doesn't feel like home to you. And your first home is yourself. Make it a place of peace and acceptance and non-judgment. That's when you can be in this safe space. And the reason we need therapy so much today is because there is so much self-judgment that we want validation from other people that you are still good. You are okay, you're doing fine. So that another human is giving you that safe space, learn from them, go for therapy, learn the skills of self-love. How can you give yourself that non-judgmental safe space? That's number one. Number two, there is bad, but there is also good. Somebody I was doing a session with said that I don't think I have like that confidence because I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that. That is a fact, right? I'm not good at this. And the truth is, there will be a lot of bad in all of us. Like I said, we're not perfect. Only Allah is the one who is perfect. We don't have that perfection. So stop eluding yourself that one day I will come to that level of perfection where everything will be good in me. And then I will accept myself. One day I will think of myself as a good mother. One day I will think of myself as a good wife. One day... Look, people do that. A lot of people will project their insecurities onto us. A lot of people will blame us for their flaws. They will say, you're not a good wife or you're not a good mother. That's why this happened to me. You're not a good child. That's why this happened to me. And we start absorbing that guilt. Be very mindful. This is crap. You don't want to fill your body with stuff that infects your soul. What are they doing? They're comparing you. Comparison is this disease of the soul. Be mindful. So while there is a lot of bad in us, guess what? There is a lot of good in us too. There is a half glass full, and you can choose to focus on the half empty part or half full part. So you have to make that choice and say, I have all of this good in me, and I recognize this good in me. Why? And now I'm telling you something where ignoring that good will really not work for you. Because why? Because the good in us is the God in us. And the good in us lets us reach the God in us. So if you are going to choose to ignore your good because you think you're being humble or it's a sign of humility and whatnot we've been taught, then you're ignoring the God in you. That good in you is not you. The good in you is the breath of God. And it cannot be ignored, otherwise you will not fulfill your duty in this world. So it is very important to understand while there is this human flawed part in me, there is a beautiful godly particle in me that has to be recognized and acknowledged. You can move further.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa jal.
So what is my inner path to God? Recognizing the good in me so that I recognize the God in me. जब आप अपने अंदर अपनी अच्छाइयों को पहचानेंगे तो आप अपने रब को पहचानेंगे. And in contrast, when we do recognize our flaws, associate them with yourself. And then also recognize the goodness of God in opposition to that. When you don't know something, understand, look, I don't know something so simple, but Allah knows everything. Right? So they are both positive ways of moving forward. And if I don't know something, with Allah's help, He will guide me, He will teach me. And then focus on the good in you to increase that good in you. Why? In quantum physics they say, wherever attention goes, energy goes. Why? Because your attention is a thought. Wherever attention goes, your energy goes. From childhood, in cartoons and movies, what do we see? हम बच्चों को क्या कहते हैं? खाना खाओगे तो एनर्जी आ जाएगी. फिर हम क्या बोलते हैं? स्ट्रांग हो जाओगे. ऐसे बोलते हैं ना? When you get energy, you give taqwiyat to that thing. You give strength to that thing. Energy energizes us, strengthens us. Wherever attention goes, energy goes. And wherever energy goes, it grows. So we don't want to grow our negative stuff. We don't want to grow in our wave personality. We don't want to grow in our flawed, evil, elusive personality. We want to grow in our haqq, in our truth, in our goodness, in our godliness. So if we focus on criticizing ourselves, just remember wherever your mental space is going, your head space is going, your time is going, you're putting a lot of investment there. Do you really want to put investments in your wounds and your bad qualities and your criticisms and the things that you're not good at? Or do you want to invest in all the good in you so that that appreciates? Whenever we realize that a property हमने खरीदी थी which is not a good one, we stop investing in that property. Right? We try to leave it, we try to go away, we try to sell it off because it's a bad investment. Nobody wastes their resources on a bad investment. So we want to invest in the good. Invest in the good in you because now you're investing in the God in you. So that what, wherever attention goes, energy goes, and wherever energy goes, it grows. Okay, the other idea is, like we talked about the teacup, that whatever is in the cup will come out. So what is it that you want to give to other people? Kindness, love, generosity, forgiveness, peace. We want to be that, right? We don't want to shout at people, scream at people, get angry at people, get triggered with people, be snappy. We don't want to do that, right? If we snap at ourselves, if we judge ourselves, if we are critical towards ourselves, guess what? That's what you're filling your cup with. So if you're constantly full of judgment towards yourself and you're really harsh towards yourself, that is how you're going to view the world. That is how you will be perceiving everyone else. And we use this very nice excuse of saying कि हम ना इसलिए नुक्स निकालते हैं ताकि हम उसको सही कर सकें, उसको साफ कर सकें, उसको good, bring it into its good balance. But that is not how the law of energy works. जितना आप उसमें गुड़ डालेंगे वो उतना ही खैर यहाँ तो मीठा नहीं होगा, कड़वा होता जाएगा because it's your flaw. You're gonna grow it, right? The more you fill yourself with criticism and judgment, you're going to do that with other people, and it will come out somewhere. So if at any point you feel like you're mindful toward yourself and you suddenly realize कि why am I being so picky today? मतलब वही चाय कल भी थी इतनी बुरी नहीं लगी, लेकिन आज क्यों इतना गुस्सा आ रहा है कि चाय सही नहीं बनाई है, राइट? या ये चीज तो कल भी यहाँ पड़ी हुई थी, मुझे इतनी बुरी नहीं लग रही थी, लेकिन आज देख के क्यों इतना गुस्सा आ रहा है? So we tell ourselves, हाँ वो कल मैंने बर्दाश्त कर लिया ना, अब बर्दाश्त से बाहर हो गया, अब बोलना पड़ेगा. Because you haven't given yourself that rest, you haven't cushioned yourself, you haven't done that inner work. That's why as Muslims we are so blessed that 5 times a day we get to sit in stillness. And I always say that it is so amazing that nobody is allowed to talk to us and we're not allowed to talk to anybody during the salah. और जब लोग देखते हैं वो ये नमाज में करके चले जाते हैं, it's because that is your moment of refreshment. You come into your balance, you come into your stillness, you come back into your calm self. That is why it's fine अगर जल्दी है और problem है और emergency, it's okay to pray नमाज जल्दी में. But the thing is that we can't then benefit from the true fruit of that practice. Like somebody said to me yesterday that I do my namaz like yoga, and then when I am in a pause, I'm in a pose, I take a pause, and when I'm in ruku and then when I'm in sajda, and that's beautiful. And for those who like yoga, I was thinking about it and I found sajda so beautiful because the 7 chakras that start at the tailbone and end at the crown, we put our crown on the ground. Ground is earth, which is used for earthing charge, negative charge, right? We earth an electric wire because it takes away the charge, extra charge. So when we put our crown on earth, it absorbs all the extra charge because our brain is made up of electricity, we know that, right? The neurons work with electrical currents. And so when we put our head on the ground, we're earthing ourselves, and the flow of energy directly comes from the tailbone to the head. That's the flow of energy. The natural flow of energy, right? Because now if you put a drop of water on your back and when you're in sajda, it's just going to flow downwards towards your head. So that's the flow of energy, which is really fast when it comes to the sajda. And one of the most profound practices that teachers prescribe to calm yourself, to still yourself, to dissipate your anger, to come into a state of stillness is to go into sajda on the ground. And they say put both your palms and your feet on the ground because you want that maximum connection to the earth. Earth is also a physical manifestation of Ar-Rahman, right? Because it's the womb of creation, and the word Rahman comes from Rahama, which is the Raham, the womb. So yeah, that's another discussion, but that's how we can take care of ourselves. In the womb of our true mother, we come back to that place to nourish ourselves with that sajda. So wherever we focus on, that is where we are going to grow it, we're going to appreciate it. If you want to appreciate the value of this goodness, then what you appreciate appreciates. So appreciate yourself. If you want to appreciate the good in you, appreciate yourself so your good appreciates. And then gratitude for the good inside leads to more of good. So that's our next point, appreciation of the good in the self. We don't have this culture of self-praise, and I'm not asking you to be like, what did my kids teach me yesterday? Flex yourself. Like you're showing off. That's the new word. You flex yourself, so you're like showing off. That's my daughter was teaching me. So if you're, I'm not saying you show off and you know, I'm so good, I'm so good. We're not saying that. But if ever you do feel like doing it, in your intention, think of Allah's goodness in you. Okay, when you talk about something good that you've done, come into the right intention. That this goodness in me is Allah's gift for me. I'm so grateful for it. So don't be shy about the good in you. Remember that when you praise the good in you, you're actually praising the gift giver. That is why the culture in social media to self-promote can be very toxic. Because if the intention is not in the right place, then you become very self-obsessed and self-praising. But if you market yourself with the idea that I have something good and that good can benefit other people, then why not? Let's market it. But come with the right intention, with the right energy. That this is a gift from Allah, this is not mine, and it is my duty to give it to other people. It's food, it's hair oil, it's homemade cosmetics, right? So market yourself with the right intention and give gratitude for this gift. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. When you are grateful, I will increase you. It is the same principle. Whatever you focus on, it is going to increase. Wherever you put your appreciation, it will appreciate. Wherever you put your thoughts and attention, it is going to grow. So when we are grateful for the gifts within, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to grow you in those good qualities. He is going to increase it in you. So yesterday or day before I had said that, there are miracles in our mouth. What we say, the gratitude that we give, it is an energy. So it is very important to understand that whatever we are saying has a power of manifestation. It is kun. See, Allah Ta'ala चाहते तो बोलते कि मैंने सोचा और चीज बन गई. लेकिन Allah Ta'ala कहते मैंने कहा kun. Why? Because there's a power to the verbal energy. वो कहते हैं ना कहने से वो चीज़ मैनिफेस्ट होती है। आप बोलते हैं तो हमारे जो बड़े होते हैं ना वो कहते हैं कि बुरी बातें मत कहा करो, यू नो, गलत चीज़ें मुंह से मत निकालो, ऐसे बोलते हैं ना। व्हाई? बिकॉज दे आर राइट, देयर इज अ रीजन फॉर इट। इफ यू कैन बी कॉन्शियस and come into the right intention and then speak something, first of all you will say something wise, and even if you have uttered something which sounds not very nice, it will be coming from the right energy. Otherwise, so it's protected in the right energy of godly protection. But otherwise, if we say bad things, it has an effect. It's got a reality. The energy does not get destroyed. Energy only changes form. So the energy of spoken word will transform into a manifestation, whether you like it or not, because that's the law. So be careful of what you're saying, right? इसलिए अगर आप अपने बारे में बुराइयां करेंगे ना, that is going to come about. मुझसे नहीं होता, मैं नहीं बोल सकती, मैं नहीं कर सकती, मैं तो इतनी अच्छी नहीं हूँ, तुम बड़ी अच्छी हो। अच्छा, कोई अगर हमारी तारीफ करता है ना, अरे इतनी अच्छी लग रही, तुम भी बड़ी अच्छी लग रही हो, मेरा तो बस यूं था ऐसे हो जाते हैं, राइट? ओ योर स्किन इज ग्लोइंग टुडे, नहीं यार देखो यहाँ पे एक पिंपल है ना, दिख रहा है तुम्हें? ओके, व्हाई? बिकॉज वी सडनली फील लाइक एम्बैरेस्ड एंड वी आर लाइक ओ थैंक यू, या अल्लाह का बहुत शुक्र है, माय स्किन इज डूइंग गुड दीस डेज। क्यों? अल्लाह ने दी है ना स्किन, Allah will gift it. The good in you is from Allah. Receive graciously. Yeah. This is all stuff my teacher has taught me, and one of our friends is here. So receive graciously. When somebody offers you something, receive graciously. A compliment, receive it. What will happen when they give you a compliment? They're putting their attention on something good in you. So they're putting their एक ग्रुप पर है।
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद।
Did you start it today? I was hoping.
But inshallah there's a recording. So wherever we're going to put our attention is going to grow. When somebody compliments you, receive it, because they're putting attention on your goodness. Receive it with a simple Alhamdulillah. Why? Because all praise is for Allah. If you do anything good, it is a gift from Allah, it's not yours. You know you cannot do it, you know, right? If you are cut off from your source, there is nothing that you are. Your own self as an entity is an illusion. We are not separate from the source. So these are the ways in which we can convince ourselves. Bookmark this talk, hear it again and again, write down these points, put them on your mirror, allow yourself to receive the good in you as a gift from Allah, and then focus on it so that the good grows in your life, right? So now we've talked about Amal Saleh. What are Amal Saleh? All the good things we do for ourselves that preserves our goodness, that can be sleep. That's why कहते हैं ना, अगर रोजे में कोई सोता है उसको सवाब मिलता है. Why? Because you're taking care of yourself, you were a cranky baby, you put yourself to bed. You didn't say weird things, bad things from your mouth. You didn't say things that you regretted. Right? But इसका मतलब ये नहीं होता कि पूरी रात जागें और फिर पूरा दिन सो जाएं और फिर बोले यार रोजा हो गया, right? With little kids, okay, acceptable, but give yourself the rest is what it means. Okay, don't push yourself, don't overdo yourself at any point. Take the rest. So that is really important, and these are the Amal Saleh. Amal Saleh can be a coffee with a friend, a little chat with your mother. It can be taking a nice relaxed shower, burning some candles. You know, Rasulullah used to invest a lot in perfumes because fragrances, they relax. So the whole aromatherapy, go for it. Calm your senses, right? Create a beautiful environment, a place in your home which soothes you. Wear clothes which are comfortable. Get out of itchy clothes, uncomfortable clothes. Look nice, do some skincare. Honestly, I did face yoga today. I tried it. Right? These are all gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ek durood padhe Aryan ke.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
तो हम अपना ख्याल कैसे रखेंगे? The body and the soul is connected. Give yourself the rest. Drink enough water. Eat properly. Try to eat healthy. Be mindful when you eat. Take care of your weight. Be gentle on your bones, because if you are heavy, then it's going to start putting weight on your bones. This is a gift from Allah. Skeleton is a gift from Allah. I can't forget an image from my grade 5 textbook, where when we started the module on skeleton, they had made a jiggly little boy like a jelly on the floor. And they said this is what you would look like if you didn't have bones. Yeah? So take care of your bones. Eat well, drink well, sleep well. And honestly, one of the best things we can do when we are too worked up and we are feeling angry, just stop in the middle. Just stop. Don't get carried away that I have to prove it wrong, or I have to prove myself right, or I have to finish this conversation and I will not get another chance. Faith says it can wait. Just stop. Be mindful. I think I am not in my best self right now. I think I will say something that will hurt you. I think I'm going to take a break right now. Can we talk later? Your intention was not to hurt the person. Your intention was to not hurt the person. So it's not rude, right? It's called being mindful. And so all of these acts that bring and preserve the goodness in us, whether it's a massage or facial or painting your nails or whatnot, all of these, if they calm you, if they bring you in your best self, if they retain your character, the Holy Prophet, when he would come back from a tired journey, we know in Morocco and Turkey there are hammams, right? He would go to the hammam. He would freshen up, he would make his hair with good perfume, he would rest. He would not go to his home directly when he would come back from his travels. He would do all of that, and then he would go home looking stunning. Right? That is what we're taught, and that is how we must be. Right? When the Prophet saw men whose beards were not dyed, he said, please go dye your beard. Right? There is a refinement in everything. So we look at Amal-e-Saleh like this, and I was really grateful that I came across this quote by Zoroaster. Now, I want to clarify a misconception about Zoroastrianism, because we have our Parsi brothers and sisters who coexist with us in our city. There's a long history to it, but when I did my research and I met with Zoroastrian priests and priestesses and did the research, the long misconception that they worship fire was dissipated. They don't worship fire. They worship God in a fire temple. Why? Because fire in those days was the only way to have light, and they consider Allah Noor. So they also worship one God. And they have 101 names of God, and most of them are like the ones we have. And they pray 5 times a day. Right? So I want to quote a saying from Zoroaster, and it says, your good thoughts, good words, and good deeds alone will be your intercessors. Nothing more will be wanted. They alone will serve you as a safe pilot to the harbor of heaven, as a safe guide to the gates of paradise. So the goodness that you are creating within you, this masterpiece, this sculpture, this inner world that you are designing and painting with the tiny strokes of your subtle intentions and your subtle mindfulness, this is what is going to be your intercessor. So yesterday I was asked by 2 people actually about intercession, and I wanted to discuss this, and it beautifully connected like this. because I had to talk about good deeds today, and I also had to talk about intercession. So in depth, the word that is used for shafa'at, it comes from the same word shafa'a, which is for the salah, shafa and witr. Okay? So shafa'at comes from shafa and witr. If you open a normal translation, they will give you a very on the surface translation. So they'll just say shafa'at means intercession. But if you go to the root word, shafa means two. Like I said, right? It's a even number. So shafa 2 comes from, in Arabic, the word shafa is used to say. Now this is very interesting. What I read there's a Edward William Lane root word Arabic dictionary, which is amazing. So it's a bit tricky to use it, but it's online. It's free. You can use it. It gives you the really core root word. So it said there was witr and we made it shafa. How? Like I had one shoe and made another one just like it, so it became a pair. That is shafa and witr. Okay? So there was witr, there was just one, and then I made a shafa, which means it's now a pair, it's two. How do we make a pair? So truly shafa means pair. Pairing like things together. Pairing like things together. That is shafa. That is where shafa'at comes from. When do we make a pair? When things are alike, or they match, or they fix together. That is shafa. So shafa'at comes from the word pairing the likenesses together. If we want to receive the shafa'at of the Prophet, we have to come into the likeness of the Prophet.
Subhanallah, that's true.
We have to become like him. Right? If we want to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we have to become like him. So from that place of saying that I want to be with them on this day of Jannah, day of Qiyamah, we want to be like them. That is true shafa'at. So there are discussions and debates that I've had with people, and they would quote ahadith from Biharul Anwar and Rasul Kafi, and they would say ahadith like जिसने अली की विलायत को मान लिया, कुछ भी कर ले वो जन्नत में जाएगा.
No, not so easy.
Okay, but they say this. Okay, some kids also they would sit and they would say ये hadith में है. I know people don't like it when I say it, but when you go into hadith literature, Sheikh Sani, he was a very big scholar, he says that Usul Kafi is to a very great extent not authenticated. When it was compiled, the author, he said, I know the name, I don't know his good.
Khulaini.
He's given this notice in there, he's given this notice of attention. He says, in my lifetime, I only had the capacity to go everywhere to collect anything that was called hadith literature. So he's collected everything and anything that was called hadith. But he said, I did not have the time to vet it out, to see what was authentic and what was not authentic. The numbers are shocking as to how much of it has not been authenticated. We cannot just pick anything and everything and say, ये hadith में लिखा है, बिहारुल अनवार में लिखा है, या काफी में लिखा है. We have to vet out the chain of narrators. So it's very important to do that. A lot of times the ahadith that I quote here, I find conviction in those ahadith because I would have read that quote by 10 other wise sages before them. Like a lot of wise sayings of Imam Ali or the Prophet have been said by Buddha and Zoroaster and Falan. So you just know that it is coming from that source of wisdom where everyone is saying the same thing. Because the nature of the spirit is one. Right? So in that way, we see that shafa'at means to put like together. When we are like them, we will be with them. And Ibn Arabi talks about the day of justice in this way. He says that on the day of judgment, there will be justice served. Justice is to put like things with their likenesses. So the people who like to lie or cheat or who do all this fraud and all of that, they won't fit into a crowd that dislikes all these activities. Like it happens in schools, right? You don't fit into a certain crowd. Like children often complain, Mama, but everyone gossips. But everyone does gibbat. And in my school days, that show had come, Gossip Girl. And I was like, okay, like Gunah-e-Kabira on your screens, right? And if you hear any wise person, they will say gossip is the reason why societies break. Because it creates so much mistrust. Because if the person in front of you is gossiping about someone else today, tomorrow they will gossip about you to somebody else.
Quite right.
Right? So in that way, the people who gossip and the people who don't gossip won't be together. So likenesses will be put together. That is what Day of Justice means. When justice will be served, the likenesses will be put together, and that is true intercession. Okay? So when we hold on to the path of Ahl Bayt and we learn their teachings and then we try to follow them and then we try to emulate them and then we try to make them into our habits, that is the fastest way of shafaat. That is when you can say that, I want to be with them and they will take me with them. And you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you take one step and I'll take 10 steps for you. I am sure that the Kareem Ahl Bayt, when they will say that, this banda took one step towards becoming like us, let us take 10 steps for them. This is shafaat. When your actions are aligning with the sincerity of your intentions, that's when somebody can take your action at face value. Right? So this is what Zoroaster is saying, your good thoughts, your good words and your good deeds alone will be your intercessors. Nothing more will be wanted. They alone will serve you as a safe pilot to the harbor of heaven, as a safe guide to the gates of paradise. In Durud Pad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
And then when we're doing all this good and then we don't receive good in return. And then we're like, यार मैंने तो अच्छा किया था, मैंने तो उसको 3 दावतों में बुलाया था, उसने मुझे एक में भी नहीं बुलाया, और मुझे किसी फ्रेंड से पता चला कि वो पार्टी हो रही थी उस दिन, इतना मेरा दिल दुखा, मैं कभी उससे बात नहीं कर सकती। हम लोग करते हैं और हर्ट होता है, इंसान है। But the thing is that we have to start living an intentional life. Did you really call that person to your party because you wanted something in return? Or did you do it because it was your good deed, because you wanted to be a good person? Because you want to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is your intention? The minute we shift our intention from wanting something from the world to the sculpting of the soul, because you want to be good, if you have that clarity of intention, a lot of hurt will dissipate from our life. It will just vanish. And then when we look at the little good we do and we say, यार मेरे करने से क्या होगा, मेरे इतने से डोनेशन जमा करने से क्या होगा, या मेरे अच्छे बात करने से क्या होगा. So there's a saying which says, I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I'll repeat it. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. Right? Good deeds should be done with intention, not for attention. So we have to be mindful, and inshallah, from Amal Saleh and from preserving our goodness, tomorrow we will go deeper into practices of mindfulness. And today, when it comes to the conversation on looking at good, seeing good, perceiving good, seeing good in everything, remembering that everything is from God and it is good, we have to remember Zainab Salamullah alayha. Bibi Zainab says, Ma ra'itu illa jamila. I did not see anything but beauty. And she's not just saying that when she's standing in a garden or she's looking at the beautiful sky or the clouds. No. Bibi Zainab is actually saying this when the entire family has been butchered. When children have already died on the way to Sham and Kufa. Not even that is not enough. Bibi Zainab is saying that when the most beloved brother Imam Hussain, उनका सर पड़ा हुआ है और यजीद उस पे उसको छेड़ रहा है with a stick. Trigger. He was trying to poke her, trigger her. But someone who has done so much practice in the beautification of her soul that from her lips nothing but beauty comes. There is so much goodness that only good is coming out of her tongue. Who is this brother? We hear that as children, Imam Hussain and Bibi Zainab were inseparable. They were so close to each other. To the extent that when Bibi Zainab alayhi salam is getting married, Imam Ali requests Abdullah ibn Jafar that do whatever you may, but do not separate Zainab from Hussain. And at the time when Imam Hussain is leaving Medina, Hazrat Abdullah ibn Jafar is not well. So the children are with him and Bibi Zainab requests and Hazrat Abdullah lets her go. But in Makkah, Anu Muhammad joined Imam Hussein's kafla because Hazrat Abdullah sends this message. It doesn't look like I will be getting better, but these are children who are here as my representatives. I'm sending them on my behalf. So Anu Muhammad joined Bibi Zainab in Makkah. And now, on the night before Ashur, Shab-e Ashur, Bibi Zainab बच्चों को तैयार कर ली हैं अगले दिन के लिए और उनको कहती हैं कि बच्चों मुझे पता है कि तुम छोटे हो और मुझे पता है कि तुम्हें डर लगेगा लेकिन कल मामू की हेल्प करने से पीछे नहीं हटना डरना नहीं तुम कौन हो तुम अली के पोते हो अली के नवासे हो तुम जाफर तैयार के पोते हो तुम्हें ये ज़ेब नहीं देगा कि तुम डर के पीछे हटो मामू के साथ साथ आगे आगे रहना और हम देखते हैं कि आशूर के दिन अनु मोहम्मद बार बार इमाम हुसैन के पास जाते हैं लेकिन रिवायतों में मिलता है कि इमाम हुसैन अपना मुंह पलट लेते हैं फेर लेते हैं क्यों क्योंकि हमें ये मिलता है कि किस तरह से इमाम हुसैन उन बच्चों को देखे उनको पता है कि बच्चे क्यों आ रहे हैं उनके पास तो इमाम हुसैन अपनी नजरें नहीं मिला रहे ताकि कोई गुफ्तगू ही ना हो सके इस बारे में बार बार बच्चे कोशिश करते हैं और बार बार वापस आ जाते हैं आखिर में वो बीबी ज़ैनब के पास जाते हैं और कहते हैं अम्मा हमने बहुत कोशिश की लेकिन मामू हमें नहीं देखते हमसे आंखें नहीं मिलाते हमसे बात भी नहीं करते हम कैसे जाएं ये छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं और किस चीज़ की जिद कर रहे हैं जंग में जाके लड़ने की इस वक्त बीबी ज़ैनब ने बच्चों की आंखों में काजल पहनाया उनको नया कुर्ता पहनाया और उनके हाथों में तलवारें दी और वो तलवारें इतनी बड़ी थी कि उनसे उठती भी नहीं थी इतने छोटे बच्चे थे बीबी ज़ैनब दोनों को लेकर इमाम हुसैन की पास जब हाजिर होती है तो इमाम हुसैन समझ जाते हैं कि अब ज़ैनब क्यों आई है तो इमाम हुसैन कहते हैं कि ज़ैनब ये अब्दुल्ला की अमानत है इनको वापस ले जाओ उस पर बीबी ज़ैनब कहती है कि अब्दुल्ला ने ही इनको भेजा है अब जब बीबी ज़ैनब इमाम हुसैन के पास कोई रास्ता नहीं है इनको वापस भेजने का और बहन सामने खड़ी हुई दरख्वास्त कर रही है इमाम हुसैन हजरत अब्बास को बुलाते हैं और ये वक्त इतना मुश्किल है कि इमाम हुसैन हजरत अब्बास के सहारे खड़े होते बच्चों को हजरत अब्बास के हवाले करते हैं और कहते हैं कि इनको तैयार करो ये बच्चे इतने मासूम और छोटे इन्होंने कभी जंग भी नहीं लड़ी थी हजरत अब्बास इनको सिखाते देखो अगर लेफ्ट से कोई आए तो ऐसे वार करना अगर राइट से कोई आए तो ऐसे वार करना جب بچے گھوڑے کی طرف جاتے ہیں تو اتنے چھوٹے ہیں کہ خود گھوڑوں پہ چڑھ بھی نہیں سکتے. اب آل محمد میدان جنگ کی طرف جاتے ہیں اور خوب جنگ لڑتے ہیں. اتنے میں محمد گھوڑے سے گرتے ہیں تو بھائی کو آواز دیتے ہیں اور میری مدد کو آؤ. چھوٹے سے بچے ہیں نا, بھائی آپس میں کھیلتے ہوں گے, ایک دوسرے کو پکارتے ہوں گے. اب موت کے وقت میں محمد ان کو بلاتے ہیں, لیکن اب جب اور زمین پر آتے ہیں تو امام حسین کو آواز دیتے ہیں. امام حسین پہ قیامت گری. امام حسین کھڑے نہ ہو سکے, حضرت عباس کا سہارا لیا اور دونوں بھائی جاتے ہیں آنا محمد کی لاشوں کو خیموں میں واپس لانے کے لیے. ہم دیکھتے ہیں زینب کی وہ جرات, زینب کا وہ یقین اور ایمان کہ جب آنا محمد خیموں میں آتے ہیں تو سب رو رہے ہیں, لیکن زینب اللہ کا شکر ادا کر رہی ہیں سجدے میں. اللہ لعنت اللہ قوم ظالمین. Oh Allah, we come to you with our humble selves, with our mistakes. We come to you with our flaws. Oh Allah, we ask you with humility. And ہماری آنکھیں کھول دیں, ہمارے دلوں کو کھول دیں, ہمارے کانوں کو کھول دیں, تاکہ ہم وہ دیکھ سکیں جو ہماری روح کو دیکھنا چاہیے, ہم وہ سن سکیں جو ہماری روح کو سننا چاہیے. الہی, اور پھر اتنا ہی نہیں, ہمارے دلوں کو اس طرح کھول دے کہ اس سننے اور دیکھنے کا ہمارے دلوں پر اثر ہو. اللہ ہمارے دلوں کو بدل دے, تو مقلب القلب ہے, رات کو دنوں میں بدلتا ہے. اللہ ہمارے دلوں کو بدل دے. الہی, دنیا میں بہت سے لوگ تکلیف میں, ان کی تکلیف کو آسان کر, ان کو اپنے امتحان میں آسانی دے. الہی, دنیا میں جو جو تکلیف میں ہیں ہمیں توفیق دے کہ ہم ان کی مدد کر سکیں. امام زمانہ کی ظہور میں تعجیل فرما.